All right, this is StampedeProject.com, and I really appreciate all the nice comments. And it looks like, Mozart the Diabetic Dog here. Mozart, are you the diabetic dog? Yes, yes, you're the famous diabetic dog. So we've had Mozart for about 3 years, working with his diabetes after we figured out he's diabetic, and he's at about 29 units right now daily. As you can see, he's an extremely active dog. He's going on his 10th or 11th year. And so, based on the comments on the last video, I wanted to run through a couple of pointers that we have learned over the last 3 years in taking care of a diabetic dog. One, you're going to go through a lot of needles. And we actually buy these through Dr. Foster's and Smith. They're a lot cheaper. We buy, two or 300 at a time, and they are going to be quite a bit less than what you pick up at Walgreens or what you pick up at through the vet. Significantly less expensive, like half at least. So, that's one thing you can do to kind of minimize the cost in taking care of the dog. The insulin's the insulin. There's not a lot you can do about that aside from shopping around your different drugstores and see who can sell that to you the least for a canine prescription. It will be a little bit less if you do have a prescription from the vet versus if you're just buying it cash off the shelf. I found. So if you can have your vet call ahead, that'll help with the cost there. We also test Mozart a couple times a day, just because his diabetes, we kind of got to watch him. And one of the systems out there is AlphaTrack that we use. Can't recommend it, or I mean, it seems to work fine. There's, I think, two out there that are specifically tuned for dogs. A regular human blood meter will not work because you can't tune it to the dog's thicker blood. And so you're always going to get different readings. That said, the AlphaTrack test strips are kind of pricey. For 50, you're looking at about 75, 80 bucks from your vet. Online, I found them for about 50 through American Diabetes Supply, who I also buy our Lancets through, which are little pokey things that allow you to draw blood for the test strips. Did do some reading and online, and somebody suggested that you could use Freestyle Lite, which are also by Abbott Industries, but they're for the human version of the AlphaTrack, and they don't work. They do work, they do take a reading, but they're significantly off. Anything under 200 points, they appear to be 60 to 70 points off pretty easily. For instance, I just took a reading before this movie, and it was about 166. He was 221 with the AlphaTrack. So pretty significant difference. If you can go along and you know that there's that difference, and you can make up the numbers, that number and different scales. So the higher you go, higher the actual reading is, the further it'll be off. So, but if he has a 500 reading, it's going to be off by about 150 points. So you have to be really careful with it. If you want an accurate reading, and stick with the test strips. If you have intermediary readings, the Freestyle Lite test strips are half the price. These are about 26 bucks because you can get them near expiration. You can get them for $26 to $30 versus $50 for these. Wouldn't hurt to have some of these around just to do a lot less expensive testing if you want to. The Lancets, we originally started obviously out with the AlphaTrack Lancets. The One Touch Fine Point is what we've kind of settled on now. They're probably some of the least expensive out there. And we get all of our test strips right now through American Diabetes Supply, which do human, and they also do vet or pet diabetes products. One of the other things that we've really used quite a bit now is we have a Salter. It's called a Salter, is the brand, add and weigh scale, and it has a dishwasher safe jug on the top. And what we do is we actually weigh his food for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, so that he's getting equal portions all the way through. Initially, for the first couple of years, we were really winging it and had some problems until we got the scale. and that really has seemed to even him out considerably. I obviously have this mark for what he gets, which is 4 ounces of dry food and an ounce and half of wet food for each meal. And highly recommend it. These are available on eBay. They're pretty inexpensive. You can use it and reset the zero. So you can use this as a kitchen scale, and you just save the jug for the dog, however you want to do it. But pretty handy and highly recommended for a human diabetic to weigh their food, and definitely for a diabetic dog, since they're considerably smaller. So something I'd recommend, whether you buy this or a digital scale. I think you should be weighing the food. Whenever you take blood from a dog, another little tip is we tried a lot of different things. Obviously these just twist off and you've got basically a little needle, but kind of showing you, I usually recommend you do it on the feet, and a lot of dogs don't like, he's been touched and prodded so much on this he doesn't care anymore, but that you recommend do it on the feet. The problem is obviously you're going to walk on the feet and then you have a potential area that's prone to infection. One of our vet techs actually recommended the skin right here on the elbows, and that way you can switch back and forth between the elbows, and this seems to go pretty good. You can pinch it a couple times, lance it. They don't feel it. It's pretty hard skin. Obviously he's, not feeling this at all, but lance it, and in fact I can lance it and lance him, pull the blood, and test him, and without even really waking him up. So it doesn't bother him at all. But those are the tips from Mozart, the diabetic dog, and hopefully it helps any of the other dogs out there who are going through diabetes treatment. And definitely he's been around for a couple of years, so we anticipate he's going to be around for a few more. Thanks.